1. United States. GDP nominal $20.89 trillion. GDP per capita $63,413. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $20.89 trillion. Several factors contribute to the US's powerful economy. The US is known globally for cultivating a society that supports and encourages entrepreneurship, which encourages innovation and, in turn, leads to economic growth. The growing population in the US has helped diversify the workforce. 2. China. GDP nominal $14.72 trillion. GDP per capita $10,434. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $17,204. China has the world's second largest nominal GDP in current dollars and the largest in terms of PPP. With annual growth that consistently outpaces that of the United States, China may be on track to become the largest economy in the world by nominal GDP in the years to come. 3. Japan. GDP nominal $5.06 trillion. GDP per capita $39,048. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $5.24 trillion. Japan's GDP crossed the $5 trillion mark in 2019. Strong cooperation between government and industry and advanced technological know-how have built Japan's manufacturing and export-oriented economy. Many major Japanese businesses are organized as networks of interlinked companies known as keiretsu. 4. Germany. GDP nominal $3.85 trillion. GDP per capita $45,466. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $4.45 trillion. Germany's total value of exports and imports is equal to 86.9% of GDP. Germany is a European nation with the biggest drivers of its economy being its service industries, including telecommunication, healthcare, and tourism. Germany is also Europe's largest economy. 5. United Kingdom. GDP nominal $2.76 trillion. GDP per capita $39,229. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $2.98 trillion. UK. It is the fifth largest economy in the world and the second largest in Europe in terms of GDP. The UK ranks high in the annual Global Competitiveness Reports and the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings. 6. India. GDP nominal $2.66 trillion. GDP per capita $1,877. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $8.68 trillion. The growth in GDP during 2021 to 22 is estimated at 8.9%. As per the data released by the National Statistical Office (NSO). In its first advance estimates released in January, the government had projected 9.2% growth for the current year. 7. France. GDP nominal $2.63 trillion. GDP per capita $39,257. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $2.95 trillion. France is a mixed economy that has many private and semi-private businesses across a diverse range of industries. However, there is still heavy government involvement in certain key sectors, such as defense and electrical power generation. 8. Italy. GDP nominal $1.88 trillion. GDP per capita $30,657. GDP purchasing power parity PPP $2.42 trillion. Italy's economy, the fourth largest in the Eurozone, is essentially two economies, a higher growth economy in the developed industrial north and a more sluggish one in the less developed south. Italy's main exports are machinery and transport equipment, chemicals, apparel and wine. 9. Canada. GDP nominal, $1.64 trillion. GDP per capita, $42,080. GDP purchasing power parity, PPP $1.81 trillion. Canada is a high-tech industrial society with a high standard of living. Trade agreements in the 1980s and 1990s dramatically bolstered trade with the US, and now the two counties are each other's largest trading partner. While the service sector is Canada's biggest economic driver, the country is a significant exporter of energy, food and minerals. South Korea. GDP nominal, $1.63 trillion. GDP per capita, $30,644. GDP purchasing power parity, PPP $2.29 trillion. South Korea's economy expanded at the fastest pace in 11 years in 2021, helped by a jump in exports and construction activity, tempering declines in capital investment and a slow recovery in the coronavirus-hit service sectors.